Well, Afsana Begum is the MP for Poplar and Limehouse. She currently sits as an independent after having the Labour whip temporarily withdrawn. She is of Bangladeshi heritage, and she gave me her reaction to the day's events.
I have not in my lifetime seen such a historic development in Bangladesh since the country's birth in 1971. I've also not seen before this time the galvanisation of mass people through protests led by students. One that not just led to the spread of protests to different parts of the country, from Sylhet in the northeast and Thakurgaon in the northwest, but also to some of the largest cities in the country, such as the port city of Chittagong. It's also galvanised protests in other parts of the world in solidarity, from my borough in Tower Hamlets and my worried constituents to Trafalgar Square in London and much beyond as well. And I think that's something that's not happened before, certainly in recent history of Bangladesh.
A leader being deposed, though, brings its own challenges, doesn't it?
Well, there were much concern, even across the UK in terms of the situation leading up to today. Yesterday, the student-led movement had its highest death toll to date. People have been protesting, and they've had the government response to the protest, which included having a shoot-on-sight policy, having students being killed or brutally injured, and some reports suggesting that the death toll over this recent period to be well over 250. Of course, there are concerns around what happens next, but it is a pivotal moment, and whatever happens going forward, the students and the youth of Bangladesh are key to the future of the country.
You'll have seen the reports that the leader who has resigned, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is actually heading to London from India, where we understand she's been since she left the country. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the information that she is in India has been confirmed. The information about where she goes next is not fully confirmed. But there does need to be justice and accountability. And I think that must begin with an immediate release of political detainees, in particular children. I was very concerned to learn that UNICEF, just 3 days ago, were able to confirm that at least 32 children were killed in the July protests, and that a number of them were detained as well. There does need to be accountability, and there does need to be justice for unlawful killings, detention, wherever the deposed Prime Minister may end up.
She's the one that needs to answer for this, do you think?
She does, and I do think that the government, the ruling party that was there are questions that remain around justice and accountability, which the students and the wider population demand. And, wherever they may end up, international law must be upheld and must prevail.
So if Sheikh Hasina does indeed arrive in London, what should happen?
Well, as I say, I think that, I've been calling for international law and international human rights law in particular to be upheld, and any government should seek to consider any application seriously around whether that's political asylum or others, especially where there are allegations relating to unlawful killing, state-sanctioned brutality, and crimes against humanity.
So what would you call then for the British government to do if Sheikh Hasina does indeed arrive in this country?
Uphold international human rights law, just as any government in the world should.
That was the MP for Poplar and Limehouse, Afsana Begum.